everyone, how's it going? I hope you're well. As you can see, I've had a trim from the last video to now. Had a trim earlier today, and I'm back to being the bold Walmart version of Chris Pratt. We are today reacting to ISO Chad's analysis on Dom Studios' latest episode. So we'll just jump straight into it.
Hello, everybody! The long-awaited 17th episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse is finally out, and it turned out to be incredibly cool and hot.
It was a really cool episode.
In the Skibidi Multiverse in the first
Probably
place?
one of my favorite episodes from Dom Studio.
And what's the most important thing? How did I, Elite Clockman, and Moby get to be involved in all this mess? And who are this Skibidi twins? Today, I will analyze it for you in full. No secret and no Easter egg will be left out of our eyes. Get ready to watch this video till the end. The horror aspect of it was really cool as well. And this like action is really cool. Interesting. Make some tea and grab your snacks. Let's go.
I've got coffee.
In the first scene, we see the POV going up the elevator.
And that was also, I didn't clock this. But yeah, we are a camera woman's point of view this time, which is really cool.
And in the reflection, we can see that it's no other than Camera Woman. In this episode,
I was told
we
in the
watch
comments
everything through her eyes, and it's quite unusual and very cool.
But it kind of explains how it was like such an agile and really cool point of view.
When the elevator's doors open, we see the Alliance agents fighting with Skibidi toilets in the office room. Right in front of us, a toilet with saws slashes a speakerman in a blue jacket and blue tie. Too bad for the poor guy. Hope he survives. Also, here stands a Skibidi with two small saws with the exact same head as the Skibidi trio. When the POV camera woman runs around to pick up one of the knives on the table, you can notice this toilet with a camera over his eyes. It's also equipped with two rifles and has a metal structure sticking out of his head, which tells us that it's probably a robot. It also doesn't have a flush button. This Skibidi is being kicked in the jaw by a cameraman, and it looks like it's the same karate agent. This guy still managed to survive the fall and kept fighting. So, POV camera woman picks up one of the knives and throws it at a saw toilet with an interesting design. The saw spins around this toilet, and it has two jet boosters on the sides, allowing him to fly around and cut off agents.
How do those jet boosters work? Because that saw is just in webbed jet boosters, surely.
And it has two jet boosters on the sides, allowing him to fly around and cut off agents' cameras like this Skibidi toilet did. But on top of that, he also has headphones and a speaker that he can use to stun cameramen without headphones. However, he was unable to use it and was put to rest. The camera woman then grabs the other guy by his eyes and gives him a double slap and a precise kick to the nose, which sends him into the flight from the skyscraper. Next, two more bad guys enter the room. They have some kind of weird cistern that we've seen before on some toilets, but what is it for? I'm guessing there might be some kind of gas or liquid inside, and maybe they are Skibidi couriers that deliver these resources.
Skibidi couriers.
Anyway, the camera woman pulls out her rifle and gets rid of the toilets, then turns around, and while she's doing that, we see that the knives that used to be on the table but now disappeared somewhere. Someone must have taken them. Just after the turn, the POV notices an agent falling out of the window and rushes right after him. She grabs her fellow in her arms, and they start flying through the only room with any furniture in it. What a coincidence. But I didn't really see anything interesting here, just desks with computers.
Yeah.
And while this sweet couple flies in the air, we can notice a large building with the inscriptions Skibidi Base 3.
She must have been using a jetpack or a parachute or something.
I would like to note that Camera Woman has never flown before. The only ability she showed was the ability to shoot with her powerful rifle. And in the reflection at the very beginning of the episode, there was no jetpack visible, which is quite strange. I have a hunch that she has jetpacks on her legs, like Iron Man from the Marvel movies, and she can fly using them. Anyway, when the POV landed, we see the agents fighting the remnants of the Skibidi, and one of the cameramen trying his comrade's trick from the beginning. It looks like they went to some karate class together. Also, some of the cameramen have white soles on their shoes for some reason. To be honest, I have not seen this before, and it's impossible to say exactly what it could be. Maybe it means nothing, and these guys just stepped in a puddle of white paint. Also near this base, there is a speakerman dressed in a gray suit, which was in the original series of Skibidi toilets. In the 35th episode, he was in the cage when he was freed from the parasite. And in the 36th episode, he was sitting on the toilet watching the Skibidi squad being destroyed. Next to him, the agent with the white soul gives a savory slap to the Skibidi's face. After
It's
which he was
amazing,
probably
like, how
flushed.
much detail
Though
these
I
guys
think
pick
the Alliance
out.
should still think twice and grab some of the toilets for their testing and experiments. As POV camera woman turns around, a Skibidi helicopter with 4 rocket launchers appears from behind the skyscraper. He releases his missiles directly at the squad, but only hits one unlucky troublemaker. Press F, guys. The POV runs up and pushes herself off the car with her foot flying into the air, and at that moment you can see the same sign on the skyscraper as the building on the water.
Skibidi Base 3.
Base 3. Let me remind you that in the 13th episode we were at the 4th base, which contained some secret documents with a picture of this beautiful, haughty speaker woman. But let's not talk about that. It's none of your business.
Simp.
While
None of your
POV
business.
Camera woman is in the air and flying towards the enemy.
I love
he shoots
that
her with his
comedy.
rocket, but she deftly dodges his projectile, after which she lands on the toilet Skibidi's face and grabs him right by his glowing white eyes. She then starts pushing his head out onto the helicopter blades that are on the toilet tank, and when his head touches them, we see how black drops get to fly out of it, and sometime later the brain becomes visible from his head, and it is also white in color.
See,
And I'm
it's
starting to
small
have some
details like
theories
that
about
I
what's
just
going on
don't
here,
notice.
and it's really going to blow your mind.
But it all
But we'll
happens
come back
so
to that at the
quick.
very end. So stay tuned, and we're moving on. While Camera Woman was dealing with the flying Skibidi, I noticed an unusual building with a room with glass walls in the distance. And I have a feeling that there's someone sitting inside.
Yeah, definitely
watching
seems to be
everything
someone
that
sat
happens from a
there and
greater
someone
height.
stood there.
When the POV has dealt with this
Hold on.
monster, watching everything that happens from a greater height. When the POV has dealt with this monster, she turns back, and we can see the whole place now. Just look at
Skibidi
this
Base 3
Skibidi
there.
base that is being placed right on the water surface. It looks like it's going pretty deep underwater, and it's a relatively big Skibidi tower. Camera Woman lands again and wipes the blood off the lens, and in the meantime, one of the agents shows her a thumbs up, which you should also put under this video if you like what I'm doing.
And this
But
video, give
unfortunately,
it a thumbs
the
up.
POV turns away pretending not to see him. At this moment, you can notice the elite clockman standing around the corner of the building, which is not suspicious at all, I guess. Hey bro, what are you doing there? And while all the agents already start
What
approaching
is
this
he doing over
mysterious
there?
tower, a huge black fog appears right in front of the entrance. It teleports another Skibidi monster, which
Yeah,
we've
this
already
one was
been shown in one of the leaks for
crazy.
this
The
episode.
Hannibal
It has
Lecter.
huge Morgensterns on his sides that are attached to his moving parts.
Morgensterns.
This whole Skibidi stands on tank tracks, and he has protective armor plates all over his toilet. On top of that, he is armed with huge and very powerful cannons, and based on the rust we can see, it is a very, very old Skibidi. The
Yep.
camera zooms in, and you can see that the Skibidi is blind because his eyes are sewn shut, and there are black smudges around those eyes. The scary toilet from the previous episode had similar ones. Camera Woman is already preparing to unleash the shot from her rifle, though I don't see what she could do to him with it. It seems to me that her projectiles are just like toothpicks to this huge Skibidi. Luckily,
Possibly.
the cameraman who showed her a thumbs up earlier stops her, suggesting her to keep her voice down. By the way, this cameraman doesn't have a neck either. Perhaps his head is attached directly to the suit, which is his actual body. Everyone keeps the complete silence. Even this cameraman has found a Skibidi toilet somewhere and gagged
He's
him,
like, "Shh,
although a
shh,
second earlier there was no one here. On the right side, another agent starts walking quietly in the direction to the base. But everything is being ruined by this speakerman who didn't see the can on the floor and accidentally kicked it, for which he got
Silly.
hit with a blow from the Morgenstern right in his head. Some camera women shoot the toilet, but it's completely useless.
Yep.
Skibidi takes off to the air with his jetpack and starts crashing everything in the area.
He just goes
But at that moment,
berserk.
the camera woman is approached by the previously rescued agent and calls her to follow him. As the POV approaches the building, instead of quietly and calmly going upstairs, she decides to use a loud jetpack. Apparently, it seemed a really good idea to her. And because of that, the poor guy learns his last lesson in life. Always save yourself first. But anyway,
That's true.
let's keep moving on. Skibidi prepares to shoot the POV, but suddenly the mutant is being shot himself with a laser so powerful that he gets thrown off, despite his weight. It seems to me that if the same laser would be fired at a normal Skibidi, he could have flown to the moon. And that shooter turns out to be no other than Titan Speakerman. And oh my god, look at him. He's unbelievable.
He
In the
looks
16th
epic.
episode, we are shown on the tablet that the Speakerman and Cameraman are both unavailable and getting upgrades. And finally, we can see them. His entire body is now covered in special armor that protects him from outside exposure, including the Skibidi parasites that are constantly trying to infect the Titans. He also got his wrist cannons back greatly improved. He now has 2 blades on each of his guns, which he can use to slice through Skibidi in close combat.
This reminds me of like Wolverine.
You may also notice that there are no longer any speakers near his core, which used to be.
Oh yeah.
I believe they were removed to make the Titan less vulnerable by strengthening his torso as much as possible. Speakerman starts making a very loud noise from his speakers. Apparently, he realized that the Skibidi's very acute hearing is also his weakness, because in case he gets stunned, he becomes quite useless, as he has no eyes and relies on his ears only. He tries to hit the Titan with his maces, but naturally misses, after which the Titan's Speakerman rises up into the air. After taking a few shots, stands up, he stands right on the Skibidi's head, but look how agile his guns are. He fires at the Titan, causing him to back off. Toilet attacks again with his Morgensterns, and Speakerman blocks the blow with the armor plate that is on his speakers. It proves to be strong enough to withstand even such a heavy blow.
Yeah, it wasn't even a
Skibidi
scratch
Toilet
on
swings
there.
his other arm, the red guy just cuts the chain with his blades, depriving his opponent of 1 club, and then pulls out his flamethrowers from behind of his back and starts frying him up. And it looks like his flamethrowers have undergone some changes as well. They look different now. Perhaps this was done so that the Titan could not get them from behind of his back to put them in the mouth of another enemy. Then, after making a couple of slaps, the Titan shoots his blades in the face of Skibidi, and with the words, "Get over here!" pulls him closer, and then sends him into a knockout, ending it all with music therapy.
Mortal
and thank Dom
Kombat.
Studio that now we don't see the Skibidi's disgusting, disembodied ears we unfortunately witnessed in episode 12. After this awesome fight, the guys show thumbs up to each other. And even Titan Speakerman has shown how much he likes this video. So why didn't you still click that button? Near the entrance to the Skibidi base, the Alliance agents are already starting to gather, including TV Woman. She calls her friend to the gate.
Come on.
However, there's no way for them to get opened, even after this event. If I were them, I'd be torn to pieces by now after such a powerful, accelerated kick. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that none of the agents in this episode have watches on their hands, which I find rather odd, considering that the Skibidi were able to steal some of the Clockman's technology. The Alliance breaks right into the Skibidi lab, which may contain time-stopping devices. As the camera pans up, we hear some strange noises coming from this building. TV Woman realizes that this building can only be accessed by teleport, and she takes POV Camera Woman by the hand, making a cute smiley face on her screen. After that, the two of them get to teleport right into this building. And I was curious how the process of teleportation even works here. Usually in all of the fiction pieces, you have to visualize the place in order to teleport there with your power.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I thought as well. So I did wonder how they managed to get in. Unless they can just go through, like, short distances.
Visualize it. You need to see the place with your own eyes first. Does that mean TV Woman has been here before? What
I don't think so.
Or does she just think something like, I want to get inside Skibidi Base 3 inches and simply get there? I also have a question. Why didn't she take the other agents with her, even if she only has the strength to teleport?
I did also wonder that as well. Like, why is it just us going in? Why none of the other Alliance? Like, she could have probably brought Speakerman with her. Titan Speakerman, maybe.
Port one person with her. Why didn't she go back for the others? Maybe she thinks they would be too useless, and the girls are much stronger than them. I don't know.
I guess we are more agile.
We see that there is an alarm going off inside the base. And based on what we were shown later, I'm not sure if the cause of this alarm is the appearance of these two beautiful ladies. There are crates in this hallway near the left wall. And I swear to you, I don't want to know what's inside of them. And neither should you. There's also a clock on this
probably just equipment
wall that reads 9:30, but it's not exactly evening.
But is that 9:30 or 8:30?
Also a clock on this wall that reads 9:30, but it's not exactly evening. And it doesn't look like morning. Maybe it's a reference to something, but to be honest, I can't answer to what exactly.
Maybe it's a broken clock.
It's also likely that this clock simply stopped when the alarm went off. There is also a table with a sewing machine and a headless mannequin next to it. I have a feeling that this could also be a reference, but I don't know for sure. There are also two signs on the wall, one of which indicates that the exit is in that way. while the other shows that you have to go straight through those doors. And the second clock hand is clearly drawn on paper, and someone put it there on purpose so that whoever sees it won't think of turning back. Although if I saw that, I would run away from there with my heels blazing. But the women were brave enough and decided to walk on. Coming to one of the doors, on top of which hangs several signs, one of which says you can't take pictures here, and another one says do not enter. But the TV woman opens the doors anyway, behind which we see two cute skibidi girls who are playing nicely with dolls and cut off their heads just as nicely. There is a large speaker man and 3 cameramen lying here based on their heads.
I think they're kind of creepy.
In uncharacteristic costumes. This doll looks like a TV man, and this one has a suit with 2 rows of buttons, which could also be spotted only on the TV men from the original series. Even so, there are multiple cameras lying around. Now let's take a look at these beautiful Skibidi toilets.
Really? Really, ISO Chads? They are very creepy. I wouldn't call them cute or beautiful, but you do you.
Each one has some metal arms. The left one has 4. One is a regular arm, 2 on the tank that look like tweezers or something, as well as 1 blade on the right side. The other twin has only 1 tweezer arm on the tank, but
just noticed the ghost on that wall. Some creepy, weird drawings
also
on
has
that.
1 regular arm, and the other one is equipped with scissors.
She's doing
and
like
they're playing with a TV woman doll.
Symbol.
Suddenly, the sister from the right cuts off her TV. Something tells me that it was a subtle hint that they shouldn't be here. At this time, a lot of some kind of red liquid starts leaking from afar, and one of the Skibidi toilets states that the end is near. But luckily, the TV woman finally closes the damn door. Huh.
She's like...
That was my face when I watched another episode of the Skibidi Toilet Multiverse and had to change my pants afterwards. But let's not talk about that. In general, this whole scene is one big reference to Stephen King's The Shining. This is also...
I hope you wore brown pants.
Also signaled by the Morse code inscription above this door.
The Shining.
These 2 Skibidi toilets used to be Grady sisters, and the impending red tsunami is in one of the scenes of this movie, but I won't show it to you. The POV turns around, and here's what I don't get. Where did that red box go? It was there a second ago. I'm not crazy! Women...
I mean, it could just be continuity errors that happens.
Open the center door and enter another scary room. There's another clock hanging in the distance, and for some reason it shows a different time than the first clock. There's a black and white letter W hanging on the curtains, but maybe it's just a thing that holds the curtains up. Also, there are these painted arrows hanging on the walls that invite us to go further, but it's too early for us to go there yet. And finally, right in front of us, there is another scary toilet.
I've noticed there's a red box.
Go there yet.
Similar red box.
Right in
to the right. That was similar to the box in the previous area, so maybe they just moved it over and didn't keep with the continuity.
In front of us, there is another scary toilet, which is devouring the remains of another Skibidi toilet. They look like scientists.
In fact, it probably happens way often than we actually see or kind of take notice.
Tasers. One of these already came to us in episode 13. Apparently things didn't go according to plan for these guys, and they were eliminated by this mutant. There are several other black toilets lying in this room, but they are headless. I have a hunch that this lab is making new scary Skibidi from these toilets.
Yeah.
When the Skibidi creature finishes its meal, it turns right at us, and we can see that it is Momo. She has black liquid flowing from her eyes and mouth. She goes crazy and jumps first on the ceiling and then right at POV camera woman and tries to impale her to make this horror finally end. But the TV woman turns on her superpower and sets this toilet on fire. Just like I burned this apocalypse folder earlier. Camera woman fires her rifle. But this creature was fast enough to catch the bullet with her claws.
Yeah, that was scary.
The horror level reached its peak, and Momo started laughing hysterically. I think this could have been the end of the adventure, but thank goodness the elite clockman's spear comes flying at Skibidi. We see the elite clockman, myself, and Moby approaching us from the direction the clock hands were pointing at. Moby wiggles his finger from side to side as if to show that the girls shouldn't be here. At this point, ominous music begins to play. The POV turns around, and we are faced with a rather familiar setting. We've seen this kind of equipment before in episode 13, with the same devices and a similar list on yellow paper. There's also a box with the number 4 on it. Apparently, it's some samples from the 4th SKIBIDI lab. Also on the shelf, there's some kind of book with the word lost and the number 3 on it. Unfortunately, I can't make out the 3rd word, but based on the number 3 and the 3 blue squares near the book, it should tell you something. I remember 3 agents who were eliminated at 4th
but I could be wrong.
They picked up those very documents. Maybe this is about them. There are some pictures on the right wall. If you zoom in on them, you can see that they're SKIBIDI toilets, and we've seen some of them before. The one in the center is a Momo that was just gotten rid of. This is the monster that was in the previous episode. Just below that, there is a photo of the Grady twins who were playing with the agent dolls a minute earlier. In the left, there hangs a picture of the SKIBIDI Banshee from episode 14 that almost destroyed Titan Speakerman. And finally, some weird toilet with an all-black head with some other color underneath.
I wonder if that's the one from The Ring, like a model from The Ring that we haven't seen yet.
Perhaps it's a jetpack that he uses to fly around. It looks like those SKIBIDI helicopters in black masks, but I don't think it's one of them because these pictures contain only the scariest of the SKIBIDI.
Yeah, I think it's a Ring model.
We haven't seen this monster yet, and it's quite likely that he'll show up in the next episode.
I think it's a she.
And while I was showing you all this, TV woman sat down in a chair and started reading that confidential folder. Well, I was ready to take it away from her, although the elite decided that we could let her see what was in there. Her screen turned green and she started scanning the information and sent the file to the Alliance base.
Yeah, that was interesting.
You know what? I'll give you my guess as to what's going on here. Remember that SKIBIDI with the white insides and the white eyes? And that inhumanly strong mutant on the bridge who was able to survive the explosion right next to him, even though he was missing body parts? No living creature could survive that and stay on its feet. And all the SKIBIDI toilets with glowing eyes aren't robots, they're something else. And look at all these new SKIBIDI monsters that are bleeding some weird black blood. And I think the folder should actually be called like this. And now the Alliance has a new threat. Maybe an even scarier one than the usual SKIBIDI toilets. So what about me and Elite and Moby? I think this is all a topic for another video where we'll talk about it more. And be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out our new
Yeah, so I think there's just like horror aspect SKIBIDIs. So like possession, spirits, that kind of thing, which is really cool because you've got the Fuchs world, it's all robots and like sci-fi Terminator-esque stuff. In Dom Studios world, it's very like horror, creepy phantoms, possession, stuff like that. And then in Valance's, it's kind of like a mix between like robots and like phantoms and stuff. So it's interesting to see these different universes have these different things in them. I think that was a really good analysis, and ISO again, he analyzes things so well. So definitely go check him out if you haven't done so already. ISO Chad is the channel for analyzing Dom Studio videos. Definitely go check him out if you haven't done so already. Give him a subscribe, hit subscribe, hit his like button, and also hit like and subscribe on this video as well if you enjoyed this video. Remember, you are my heroes, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.